Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the official information video regarding about my upcoming series, NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. Now, for those of you who actually have no idea what this is, the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series is a scheduled series that I plan on making that is based off the game NR 2003. Almost everybody in the NASCAR community has done it, so why not I give a little knack at it? So the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series is going to feature 15 races from 15 different tracks. And in this information video, we're going to be taking a look at what the schedule is going to look like, and we're going to take a look at the 35 full-time Cup Series drivers that will make the field here to race for a title here in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. And then later on, we're going to discuss about what the point standings is going to look like, and how the champion is going to be determined in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. So first and foremost, we're going to be going over the schedule out of all the 15 races that we have planned to schedule in here in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series in this inaugural season. So let's get into it. Now, who doesn't want to start things off at the Daytona 500? We're not going to be those type of people. We're going to be kicking things off with the Great American Race at Daytona International Speedway. To kick things off for the season, for the first race of the season at the beautiful beach of Daytona Beach, Florida. The Daytona 500 with great anticipation as we kick the season off. And then we move on over to the longest race that we have on our schedule, the Coca-Cola 600 at Concord, North Carolina at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And of course, we have to start the season interesting by having two Crown Jewel races in a row. By having the Daytona 500 first and having the Coca-Cola 600, one of the two Crown Jewel races of the sport for the first two seasons of the Fastenal Cup Series. And then after that, we move on to the heartland of America at Kansas Speedway. Kansas City, Kansas will host the Advent Health 400 at Kansas Motor Speedway for the third race of the season. And then for race 4, we move on to the Pennzoil 400 at a track that nobody has ever expected to be on the schedule, the Bermuda Triangle Super Speedway at the British Overseas Territories. And the reason being why I decided to add this track on the schedule in the first place is because I feel like that this particular racetrack doesn't get a lot of attention. And I feel like for once in one of these NR 2003 series, I feel like there should be a track that is non-fictional and not as generic. Because to me, I find that kind of boring. So thus, the fourth race will take place at the Bermuda Triangle Super Speedway for the Pennzoil 400. And then for race number 5, we will head back to the United States and we move on to the Sonoma Mountains in California for the Toyota SafeMart 350. Our first road course race takes place at Sonoma Raceway, where it's home to heart-pounding and challenging action, filled with right-handed turns and uphill and downhill moments, as well as an alternate line of vision. Next, we move on to the other mountains that's currently on the schedule, as well as the other triangle on the schedule for race number 6, the Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway. The name Tricky Triangle, as they say, a unique design with 3 turns instead of 4, and a very fast-paced and high-speed racetrack, as these guys can go 215 going into turn number 1, as well as possibly even going 4, 5, or even 6 wide coming out of these turns. The Tricky Triangle, they're about to come through, as one particular commentator once said, at a track that literally was not shaped as a triangle. It was said at the track that we'll be going to next for the 7th race of the season, Talladega Super Speedway for the Yellowwood 500. Not so sweet Alabama will take us to the halfway mark of the season for the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series at Talladega, Alabama, at our second drafting track on the schedule. This is obviously where the first half of the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series concludes as we reach the halfway mark of the season. And for race 8, we start the second half of the season at MIS, also known as the sister track Michigan International Speedway. The Fireskeeper Casino 400 is also known for Corey LaJoie defying law physics by self-spinning himself out into a blowover on the back straightaway on the 2-mile racetrack. Let's just hope that nobody else gets that type of curse on the back straightaway as we move on to Richmond Raceway at the River City for race number 9. Richmond Raceway will have our first short track on the schedule for the Federated Auto Parts 400. This is where tire strategy comes into play for a good majority of these drivers and teams, as passing opportunities are often limited to pit stops or tire-related incidents. And obviously we can hope that unlike NASCAR, these drivers will have an opportunity to actually pass one another and to actually have a good short track race. And if we somehow do, we will move over to Watkins Glen International for the 10th race of the season, the Dole Bowling at the Glen. This will be our second road course on the schedule. This very fast road course track can also be a challenge to a good majority of these race car drivers, as this track also has a very high surface which can make it difficult to control the car, especially going in at high speeds. A good majority of drivers hope to not have any sort of problems here at this particular racetrack, knowing that we're coming into the end of the season. Points are absolutely going to be most important for all of these drivers, especially if you're in the championship hunt. But the next race, it will also be a little bit more intimidating for these drivers as we move on to our last drafting track on the schedule. That will take place at Atlanta Motor Speedway for race number 11 for the Quaker State 400 in Hampton, Georgia. This certain racetrack that was once forgotten until the repave is going to be a major toll for all of these drivers. One mistake that you make and you could end up in somebody else's mess, and it can absolutely ruin your championship hunt battle. And now, these last 4 races, we will have a coast-to-coast jump battle as we move on to Phoenix Raceway for race number 12. And I bet just hearing Phoenix Raceway for race number 12 out of 15 was a major sigh of relief, knowing that we're not going to be ending the season at Phoenix Raceway unlike NASCAR does. Instead, it will be a much tighter fight for the championship for the Shriners Children 500 at Avondale, Arizona. The end of the season is near, and there's not a lot of time left for all of these drivers. And if you think that this championship battle could get any more harder, no. It gets a lot more harder as we move on to the East Coast at the most popular paperclip known as Martinsville Speedway. This will be the most challenging short track on the schedule as it hosts race number 13 for the Xfinity 500. And I'm pretty sure many race fans are hoping that this particular race will not end up being like how the Xfinity race ended up, which took place early on in the season in last March. Oh wait, we should probably even not talk about the Xfinity series because that series has not been contained yet. My bad! Anyways, we jump back to the West Coast for the South Point 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the second to last race of the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series season. It is now all for nothing for all of these drivers that's currently in the championship hunt. If you can end up reaching the finish by not getting into somebody else's mess and not securing a scratch at all after a chaotic and unpredictable restart, then you should be a good position in the championship points. As we move on back to the East Coast again for the final race of the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series in Eastern Tennessee, the Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. Bristol Motor Speedway will cap off the season as we will determine a champion at the most famous short track of the schedule. Consistency is key for all of these drivers. And when we cross the finish line, we will find out who will crown themselves as champion for the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series in their inaugural season. And speaking of which, I think it's finally time to see the 35 drivers who will have an opportunity to try to race for that title. Alright, so next, we are now going to introduce all the 35 drivers that will be racing full-time to have an opportunity to race for that NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series Championship. And we're going to go over them in numerical order, and the car set is going to include the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series drivers. But however though, when we go through the driver lineup, there is going to be some noticeable changes that's going to be in this field. For example, 3 drivers that were not full-time in 2024 will be full-time here in this season of the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. And there is one driver who in 2024 did not originally have that same car number and that same team until later on in the season, but will have that number and will be with that team throughout all 15 races of this particular season. But for the remaining Cup drivers that will be in this field, it will all remain the same. So without any further ado, we're going to take a look at the full-time drivers that will be racing all 15 races in this season. Starting, of course, with the one of Ross Chastain, who shot everybody by pulling a video game move that even William Byron didn't even consider. He'll be driving the number 1 Chevy for Trackhouse Racing. Piloting the number 2 Discount Tire Ford for Team Penske is Austin Cindric, which, many people don't know this, he's the youngest winner in INSA. In the number 3 BetMGM Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing is a driver who is making his granddaddy proud. By batting into almost every single win he has and giving his grandfather money, it's Austin Dillon from Welcome, North Carolina. Next, in the number 4 car is not Kevin Harvick and is not for Stewart Haas Racing. It's Josh Berry driving the number 4 for Haas Factory Racing. In the number 5, HendrickCards.com for Hendrick Motorsports is the second most popular driver in NASCAR. That's Kyle Larson, aka Young Money. Next up is a driver who currently team owns his own team. Is Brad Keselowski in the number 6 Canes Hawaiian for Dark Horse for RFK Racing. Hold up, wait a minute, are my eyes seeing it correctly? That's right, folks. Piloting the number 7 is not going to be Corey LaJoie. Instead, it's going to be piloted by someone who actually won a race in Spire Motorsports before Corey LaJoie. That is Justin Haley, who will pilot the number 7 Gamebridge Chevrolet. From villain to hero, 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Busch will pilot the number 8 World Wallet Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing and hopes to have better luck than in real life. In the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports is the Jesus Christ of NASCAR, everyone's favorite, Chase Elliott, who will pilot behind that wheel. Piloting the number 10 is not Ty Dillon. Instead, it will be driven by quote-unquote the people's champ, Noah Gragson from Las Vegas, Nevada, who will drive one of the Autodesk 4 Dark Horse for Haas Factory Racing. Good luck on trying to differentiate those two. And there he is, everybody's most hated hero to the most beloved villain. That is not other than Denny Hamlin, who is going to be driving the number 11 FedEx Toyota, who right now currently is on an 11 against the World Tour. Okay, Ohio State. Next up, the only likable driver in Team Penske. Piloting the number 12 Advanced Auto Parts 4 Dark Horse for Team Penske, it's YRB, Ryan Blaney. Driving in the same number as his all-time favorite driver Tony Stewart is Chase Briscoe, who will pilot the number 14 HighPoint.com 4 Dark Horse for Haas Factory Racing. And here comes the first driver out of 3 that will be racing full-time here in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series that was part-time in 2024 IRL, is AJ Allmendinger in Kaulig Racing driving the number 16 Chevrolet. And speaking of fast now, here comes the number 17 Fastenal 4 Dark Horse for Roush Fenley Keselowski Racing. It will be driven by somebody who hails from Prosper, Texas, which by the way has a population of over 30,000. It is not other than Mr. Buescher, or also known as Christopher Buescher for short. Oh, and I even told myself not to say that name. Thanks, Dale! And here we go. Coming out of retirement for one season in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series, it is driven by none other than Martin Truex Jr., who will pilot the number 19 Bass Pro Shops Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hoping to not ride the wall again is the other Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, who drives the number 20 DeWalt Toyota. It is none other than Christopher Bell. Wood Brothers racing legend Harrison Burton is coming back into the number 21 Ford machine and hopes to doubt everybody, then saying that he can turn left every single race. But just please be careful out there and don't give Kim a heart attack. Fred, yeah, Tab. Here comes everybody's favorite nerd and fraud champion, piloting the number 22 Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. It is none other than Joey Logano himself. Anyone feeling kinda hungry? Well, I sure am, because Bubba Wallace will be piloting the number 23 DoorDash Toyota for 2311 Racing. Let's just hope that your order doesn't come in late. Coming back into its national habitat by racing on a computer, it is William Byron in the number 24 in the Exalta Chevrolet machine. Wait, his career started on a computer? The 31 will be full-time this year, and it will be driven by Daniel Hemrick, which by the way is no longer a one-hit wonder, unlike Trevor Bayne, and he will drive the number 31 Circle Chevrolet for Kaulig Racing. For this season only, piloting the number 34, it will be Michael McDowell, who will come back to Front Row Motorsports here. And let's hope that nobody tells Michael McDowell that we're not racing at Road America. Everyone's most popular father, the Todd father, Todd Gilliland, will be in the number 38 Georgia Peanuts Ford for Front Row Motorsports. Just hope that Todd doesn't actually say someone to stay in the motorhome after he wins. And here is the second Autodesk 4 Dark Horse for Haas Factory Team. It is the 41. It will be driven by Ryan Preece. Whose idea was it to have 2 cars with the same scheme? Well, somehow, someway, this driver was able to keep his seat over at a team that is full of poverty. It is John Hunter Nemechek in the number 42 Mobile One Toyota for Legacy Motor Club. And no, I am not talking about the other John. In the very same team full of poverty, it is the 43 of Eric Jones who would pilot behind that wheel. And hey, even though you're at a team full of poverty, at least you actually legitimately won a race at the duel. Eric Jones won that race, you can't tell me otherwise. Next up, in the 45 TRD machine for 2311 Racing, it is Tyler Reddick. And boy, I can't wait to see a look on Kevin Harvick's face whenever he gets into a skirmish again. This season, will he be known as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. or will he be known as Ricky Spinhouse Jr.? We will find out for sure once he drives number 47 Continental Chevrolet, which to me is still owned by JGT Dorian Racing and not by that hot tour girl. The final Hendrick Motorsports driver will be driven by Alex Bowman, which it will be the number 48 Ally Chevrolet, and let's hope that one of these races he can actually do it right. And the second part-timer that will race full-time in this season is, Cody Ware. I got nothing else to say about him, other than he's just here for money. Next up is Joe Gibbs' favorite grandchild, a driver that just races there so that his grandfather can get a cash grab. That'll be the 54 of Ty Gibbs. Thank you, Grandpa! And next up is the driver who is actually way more decent than Ty Gibbs, surprisingly. And he will pilot the number 77 Gamebridge Chevrolet for Aspire Motorsports, Carson Retzacar. And a surprise to absolutely no one, the final part-timer that will race full-time in this series will be none other than Shane Van Gisbergen, who will drive the number 91 Red Bull Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing. And finally, last but certainly not least, well, to some people least, everybody's favorite amigo will be driving the number 99 Freeway Chevrolet, and it will be none other than Daniel Suarez. And there you have it, folks. Those were all the 35 full-time drivers that will be racing for a championship as we go to our 15-race stretch here in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. Now, before some of you guys may ask, yes, there will be part-timers that will be racing here in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. And I already have a couple of them already planned to be racing part-time in this series. And I'm sure some of y'all are asking, yes, Corey LaJoie is a part of that part-timer list. But other part-timers that will race in the series will include the following: Justin Allgaier, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, Ryan Newman, Josh Williams, Derek Kraus, and don't worry, Jimmy Johnson will be a part of that list as well. But currently at this time, those are the only confirmed part-timers that I currently have at the moment. But obviously, those 35 full-timers will have an opportunity to compete, to try to go up top, to race for that title and for that championship. And I'm sure some of you guys are asking what the format's going to look like for that championship. But I am proud to say is that we are about to reveal that right now. We're going to be taking a look at how the points is going to look like and how the champion will be determined. I'm sure some of you guys are probably saying, oh, you'll probably add a playoff format like what NASCAR does. You'll have 16 drivers possibly, and then it will go on until there's 4 drivers left, and then one of those 4 will win the championship. Actually, that is a negatory, because in this particular series, there is no playoffs. Instead, we're going to have a full season format, like how it's supposed to be. And so, the next thing that I'm about to showcase you is an example about what the format is going to look like. As you can see right here, it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to go over to it one by one. So, as you can currently see, this is something similar to about what the IndyCar series does. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, but this time in the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series, and do exactly like what IndyCar does. So, the winner of the race obviously will get 38 points besides the Daytona 500, because that will include 40 drivers. So basically, if you end up winning the race, you will get 38 points. And then second place will go 37, third place will get 36, fourth will get 35, and then it continues the downgrade until we go to last place, and the driver that's in last place will get 1 point in that race. And there is another way that you can actually get points, and that's by doing the following. First, you can secure an extra point if you are labeled as the pole winner for that particular race. Secondly, is the most obvious, you get 1 extra point for leading at least 1 lap. Thirdly, if you're the driver that ends up securing the fastest lap of that race, you will also get an extra point. And for the fourth one, a driver can actually get 2 points, and that's for leading the most laps. So if you're the driver that ends up leading the most laps, you will get 2 extra points from that race. So yeah, basically, this entire points format is the exact same thing that IndyCar has. And obviously, the champion is crowned to the driver who has the most points at the end of the full season. So no playoffs, no chase for the cup. It is just survival of the fittest until the very end. And I think that's all the important information that I have regarding about the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. But before we actually end this video, I do have one more thing that I would like to share to you guys before we wrap up this video. Now, coming into this video, when I was making all the information and all the races that I wanted to schedule, I actually came up with this little idea that I don't think not a lot of people have considered on. I came up with this little idea, and I thought about, why not I just cut up an appetizer before the season actually begins? Folks, you hear that right. We are going to be adding in the Busch Light Clash before the start of the season, and instead of taking place at the LA Coliseum and the Bowman Gray Stadium, we are actually going to be hosting this event at South Boston. All the 35 full-time drivers that will race in this series will be eligible in this particular race, but not all of them will be able to race. Ladies and gentlemen, you better mark your calendars, because on April 7th, I will be hosting a random draw live stream on my YouTube channel exclusively. We will be hosting the Busch Light Clash random draw live stream on Monday, April 7th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 22 drivers will be able to make the field for the Busch Light Clash at South Boston. We will be drawing 21 random drivers, but for the 22nd and final spot, we will have a fan vote on the drivers that did not make the field, and the winner of the fan vote will be able to move on to the Busch Light Clash at South Boston Speedway. Whoo-wee, and we reached the finish line. That is all the information that I have for you regarding about the NASCAR Fastenal Cup Series. I hope you guys are excited about this particular series. I'm definitely going to have a blast making this series, and I hope you guys will have a knack at it too, because I've definitely wanted to do this for a very, very long time, and I feel like my opportunity is now, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Anyways, I'm going to be ending this video now because my voice hurts. I need to go get some water. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys are excited for this series. And until next time, folks, I'll see you guys next time. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day, y'all.